Welcome to the initial meeting for the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. This is Dr. Stephen Lohm, cardiologist at Rush University Medical Center and the Rush System, and I thank you very much for taking the time to learn more about this new 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to promote plant-based nutrition and help people really engage in this lifestyle and improve their health. This is a topic that is very near and dear to me because I do see, just like many of you, the power that nutrition has to potentially help prevent and reverse chronic diseases and the horrible state of health that we have in America currently. Not only that, but the way that our medical system is currently set up is really an acute care model, not a model that does a great job taking care of these chronic diseases. Physicians are trained to use medications and do diagnostic tests, do procedures and surgeries, and that's great for many different disorders, and there's no doubt many lives have been saved with those techniques. However, we do know that chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and many autoimmune disorders are not really well treated this way. We need a completely different model, which is comprehensive, and the nutrition part of it is the majority of how we can actually prevent and reverse these chronic diseases. The data supporting a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet, is overwhelming, and this is the lifestyle that we really want to embrace for people who are battling and trying to prevent these chronic diseases. Physicians need more nutrition training. And people really need help and assistance to transition over to plant-based diets because right now our culture and our food system doesn't really support that all that well. So the hope of the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, as you'll see, is to give all the tools and resources not only to people and patients who are trying to adopt a plant-based diet in order to prevent and reverse their heart disease, but also to help embrace healthcare professionals and educate them to get them on board with this movement as well, so we could try to shift the paradigm away from pills and more towards plants to help treat chronic diseases. So in this presentation, I'm going to explain to you what we plan to do here with the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, our different initiatives, and how we are assembling a whole crew of volunteers that's really going to help push this forward. This topic is very near and dear to me personally, not just because I'm a cardiologist and I see so many people suffering from these chronic diseases, which I know are preventable, but also for my own health reasons. So I'd like to begin this presentation on a little bit of a personal note. This was me just about 4 years ago, 100 pounds heavier. I was well on my way to the standard American diseases while I was consuming the standard American diet. Heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, many of the diet or lifestyle related cancers. I was at risk for these things. I was having a hard time keeping up with the kids. I had so many different obesity related ailments. I knew that personally I had to make a change for my own health. Now, at the same time, I was 4 years into my cardiology practice, and I was doing what I thought was the right things for my patients, giving them all the right medications for their high blood pressure, their high cholesterol, they're controlling their diabetes. And I was really not enjoying that way of practicing medicine because patients frequently would not want the medications. They would have side effects, they would cost money, and even when I would give them all the right medications, frequently they would still have a heart attack, or still have a stroke, or need a stent in their coronary artery, or have an open heart bypass surgery because the cause of cardiovascular disease, the cause of heart disease, relates to diet and lifestyle. And I was never talking to my patients about their diet and lifestyle for many reasons. I was never trained how to do so, and I personally was not following a healthy diet and lifestyle myself, so why would I talk to my patients about it? So I was getting frustrated in my own clinical practice. So personally, when I said, okay, I need to change my diet and lifestyle around, I started reading about nutrition, the USDA Dietary guidelines, eat chicken and fish, chicken no skin on it, nothing fried, olive oil, low-fat dairy products, all the unhealthy foods in a very, very small amount in moderation, we always say. And I did those things, and I exercised like crazy, running and walking 2 marathons. And I lost 40 pounds thinking this is great. 40 pounds, but I put so much effort into this. 2 years, pretty strictly following those USDA dietary guidelines. I had read that Dietary Guidelines for America document 3 times over. and I was getting a bit frustrated. And it was random chance that Netflix said, hey, you should watch the documentary Forks Over Knives. So I did. And some of the things in this documentary, Forks Over Knives, really just blew my mind because it was different than what the USDA dietary guidelines said, saying things like oil is the most calorie-dense food in the entire human diet. Chicken may be the number one source of cholesterol in the American diet. And dairy products, you shouldn't really be drinking them. Milk is baby growth food. And I said, whoa, that's interesting. I never heard of this concept. And then Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn from the Cleveland Clinic shows angiograms of how heart disease and cardiovascular disease can be reversed. And I said, what? No, you can't reverse heart disease. I would have been trained in that in my medical training. This is all propaganda. It's not real. There's no way. So I go on to do my own independent research, and I find it is real. It's very valid. Dr. Dean Ornish, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, and even other studies have really shown that you can reverse cardiovascular disease through a whole food, plant-based diet that is very low in fat. So pretty quickly, within about 48 hours, I transitioned myself over to a whole food, plant-based diet. And I ended up losing 60 pounds within 6 months, running my third marathon with a personal best. And ever since then, I really laser focused on my patients, how to help them transition to healthier eating, to either predominantly plant-based diets or exclusively whole food, plant-based diets. And it's really changed my career because it's more rewarding. Helping people take control of their own health, to take control of their chronic diseases, get off of medications, lose weight, feel better. There's no better way to practice medicine, in my opinion. And I personally feel so great with so much energy now. This has become a passion, and I'd like to do whatever I can to help other people embrace this lifestyle and take control of their own health. And thus, here is the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. So we know that heart disease is the number one cause of death in the United States, and it has been for almost 100 years. Cancer is number 2. Cerebrovascular disease is way up there as well. And these are preventable disorders related to diet and lifestyle. Heart disease, though, is really not the number one cause of death. That's what we've been told. The number one cause of death really is the American diet. This is the Burden of Disease study funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, showing that dietary risks is the number one preventable thing that we can do for death in the United States and for disability in the United States. So really, we shouldn't be saying heart disease is the number one cause of death. We should be saying the American diet is the number one cause of death in our country. The number one cause of disability in our country, very similarly, is dietary risks, the American diet. We really need to help as a culture, as a society, to change the American diet, change the culture of how we eat in America. And hopefully here we're going to be able to help affect some change. We're not doing very well economically, financially, with our whole healthcare system. $3.2 trillion in 2015 is going to be nearly $4 trillion soon. We spend way more than other countries do, triple that of Italy, more than double that of the UK. It's going to be nearly $4 trillion soon, and 80% of what we spend on healthcare are for the treatment of diseases that are preventable related to diet and lifestyle. Preventable related to diet and lifestyle. So you could think about this. If everybody were to eat a whole food plant-based diet, stay physically active, not smoke cigarettes, not consume alcohol in excess, 80% of hospitals would close. 80% of doctors and nurses would lose their jobs. We would have an economic crisis. But we'd have healthy people. And it's the right thing to do to help people clean up their diet and lifestyle. But unfortunately, there are many multi-trillion-dollar systems that do not really want to support this type of change. As our economy in the America is very much dependent on healthcare spending, nearly 20% of our economy is healthcare spending in America. You can imagine if everybody adopted a plant-based diet or a healthier lifestyle, we would have an economic crisis. We would go into a recession. We have built a huge economy around people who have chronic diseases that are preventable. The life expectancy in America, not so good compared to other countries. Near the bottom, we really need to do something about this, and the solution is helping to change people's diets. Chronic diseases, account again for 80% of what we spend, and we really need to work together as a group, as a culture, as a country to make some changes. And it's not going to happen from the politicians or the top down. It's going to happen from the bottom up, from a grassroots movement, and that's a big mission of the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. We really have two choices. Take the road on the right, you take all these pills and suffer your chronic diseases with a poor quality of life, or change your diet to the left and eat your fruits and your vegetables and your plant-based foods, and you won't need the pills, you won't have the chronic diseases. But unfortunately, our culture does not support that road on the left, and our medical system supports the road on the right. We really need a paradigm shift away from pills and towards food. And we can do it if we all work together. So chronic disease in America is not really the Americans' fault, and we need to realize this so that we can help support people change this over. America is really sick. The factors behind heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and cancer in America is our human instinct, the pleasure trap. We love sugar, salt, and fat. That's not our fault. Our culture is very much into unhealthy food, burgers, fries, hot dogs, cookies, cake, and ice cream. That's not the American person's fault. They're born into that. The multi-trillion-dollar food industry doesn't really care about the health of Americans. It's a business. That's just the way the system works. They want to sell their product. They'll process the food, add sugar, oil, fat, salt to the product to make it taste good, but unfortunately that makes it taste good, but has a major negative health effects, causing these chronic diseases. Then our government policies about food are really not aligned with health. They help the economy thrive, but subsidizing sugar and subsidizing feed crop for unhealthy animal-based foods is not really the way that it should be. As we've talked about, our healthcare systems do not really support preventing disease or treating chronic disease with nutrition the way that they should. You put all these together, and this is why America is sick. This is the reason why. It's not the fault of the individual. It's a fault of the system. And the biggest thing that we can do here at the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement is to change the culture. We can't really change the human instinct much, although as people adopt the plant-based diet, their palates will change, and they will see the pleasure of eating the 100,000 plus edible plant-based foods that are out there. Now, we can't really change the food industry, but you know what? You vote with your dollar. As we change the culture and help more people eat more plant-based foods, the food industry will see where the money is being spent, and they will change. They will follow the people and follow the dollar. And hopefully we can have a little bit of an effect on government policies, and certainly we will work on that. And as we get into more healthcare offices and educate more physicians about the power of nutrition, specifically plant-based nutrition has, to treat these chronic diseases, more and more healthcare providers will come over, and hopefully we can get that system to shift its paradigm. So 80% of adult Americans are overweight or obese in America. It is just horrific. It's getting worse. Now is the time that we must all stand together and do something about this. So here's what the standard Americans eat. Only 12% of their calories come from unprocessed plant-based foods, and quite a bit of that is from potatoes from French fries and tomatoes from ketchup. 63% of calories are processed food. 25% of calories are animal-based foods. The higher percentage of calories that people get from unprocessed plant-based foods, that green portion of this pie graph, the higher percentage they can get, the healthier they're going to be. Even if they don't get completely to 100%, they get to 50%, they're going to be way better. A lot of magic happens when you hit to about 80 or 90%, and even more when you get to 100%. Our goal here at the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement is to get as many people to that 100% mark as we possibly can. Make it easy for them. Have them understand how great the food is and how much it's going to help their health. You know, if we get some people to stop at the 80 to 90% mark, at least we've made significant positive changes. So we know that the USDA dietary guidelines still have dairy on their plate, and they say protein instead of saying things like legumes. Really, we want the plate on the right. Fruits and vegetables will be half the plate. Legumes will be a quarter. Whole grains will be a quarter. And we drink only water. We shouldn't be drinking dairy. Whole food, plant-based diets is what we're promoting here. The term vegan really does not encompass what a healthy diet might be, because vegan diets, while on average certainly are way healthier than standard American diets, Vegan diet simply means free of animal product, but it could still include many different processed foods and junk foods. So we don't really want to use the term vegan diet in our organization because a vegan diet could contain Oreo cookies, cotton candy, potato chips, and beer. So we really want to say whole food, plant-based. Eat the whole food, eat the orange, don't drink the orange juice. Eat the vegetable, but don't use any processed vegetable oils, since oils are very calorie dense and have a very low amount of micronutrients that we need. So whole food, plant-based diet free of oil is what we promote here at the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. cpbnm.org. Here we are now. You've seen the state of chronic health in America, and the chronic diseases are running rampant. We know that we as the people need to make the change to help this movement move forward. Vote with our dollar, help change the food system, and help change the culture, get into the healthcare systems, and that is the mission of the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement. Here's the mission statement. Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement aims to organize a large community of individuals promoting plant-based nutrition to improve the health of Chicagoland, fighting the current epidemic of chronic disease with whole food, plant-based nutrition. Please help support the mission of our organization. We have lots of great things planned. We have many different initiatives. So first of all, community events and classes are very, very important to help people understand the power of plant-based nutrition and be able to easily transition over to plant-based diets. So many different community events and classes that we can do. My passion being cardiovascular disease as a cardiologist, we're going to put together a heart disease reversal class where people can show up for 3 or 4 hours, learn all about the power and the data and the research and the concepts behind how you can reverse cardiovascular disease just through nutrition. We'll have lecture series where people can come in and learn about how a whole food plant-based diet helps hypertension, how a whole food plant-based diet helps diabetes, how a whole food plant-based diet helps prevent stroke, cancers, autoimmune diseases, etc. So that whatever the interest is that the person has for their own health or the health of their family, they will be able to have that resource there to learn all about it. We'll have cooking classes so that people can really learn how great this food is. So colorful, so tasty, so satisfying. But our culture has really lost touch with how to cook these great whole food plant-based meals, make them taste good, make them satisfying. And they'll realize when they do this as well that it's way cheaper to eat this way. So we really need to embrace that and have cooking classes all throughout Chicagoland that were either free for the patient or a very reduced charge. Whole food plant-based one-on-one classes to give everybody the basics. And then some other advanced classes. How about food prepping classes or how to use the Instant Pot or whatever it is that that they might be interested in. And then menu planning. Just sit down with people and say, listen, let's show you how you can plan out what you're going to eat on a whole food plant-based diet. Look at all these recipes and just give people the tools that they need. So some other initiatives, jump starts, very important to get in communities where chronic disease levels are high and actually help them transition over to plant-based diets. Give them that extra jump start that they need. Plant Pure Nation is a wonderful organization that has a lot of good tools to help people do these jump starts, these Oasis jump starts through Plant Pure communities. A lot of the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement actually initially coalesced because of Plant Pure Nation pods that we communicated together through and said, listen, we need to coordinate throughout the whole area, and here we are now. So using Plant Pure Nation's tools and initiatives like this Jumpstart can be a great thing for all of us to do. So these Jumpstarts, what they really do is they give you food at a very discounted rate, and they have a coordinated program for how you can get people to come in. And you actually check their blood pressure, their cholesterol level, different biometric testing, talk to them about a whole food plant-based diet, and give them a lot of the food so that they actually have it. So we actually can apply for this grant here that they have where only 501c3 nonprofit organizations can apply. And it takes about 30 volunteers, and there's one director person who's working on this very, very hard, half-time to three-quarters time. So we're going to really need some help and support from a time dedication perspective. It costs about $9,000 to $18,000 even after this grant. So funding for things like this is going to be super important. Fundraising, with meeting space, cooking demos, documentary screening, because all the people who come to do the Jumpstart have to watch Plant Pure Nation to begin with, of course. It's a great documentary free on YouTube. and we do the biometric testing. You have them come back after the whole couple weeks are done on the plant-based diet, and have them repeat it and see the huge power of it, and ask them, how was it? How was the food? Were we able to stick to it? What can we do to help you learn more about plant-based nutrition and stay on this way of living for the rest of your life? So Jumpstarts, we hope to get together in different communities that are in need in the Chicagoland area. Other initiatives, book clubs, simple thing. Let's pick a book, How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. Let's sit down and let's all read it, talk about it as a group. Screenings of documentaries. There are so many great documentaries out there. We should make them available for everybody. We can screen them, and we can have a little good social event surrounding it, and even try to get some of the people who were in the documentaries to come by and say hello to the people who are viewing it. That would be wonderful. Have guest speakers come in so we can learn from some of the experts in their field, and we'll just have potlucks, social gatherings, so that we can enjoy each other's company and learn how everybody else has been thriving on this way of eating. But we'd also like, as part of these potlucks and other gatherings, to create our own little pods in the Chicagoland area. Plant Pure Nation's done a great job of this. However, we found that the different pods that have been put up throughout the Chicagoland area aren't as active as we'd like them to be. So we really, as an organization, that's the Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement, want to take these pods and really encourage them to become more and more active. And so we can help organize all that through our organization as well. Other things, restaurants. We need to get more restaurants on board with whole food plant-based diets. We want them to have whole food plant-based menu options that are free of oil on their menu. If they don't put it on their menu for everybody to see, at least we like to know that they have an option available for people who want to follow this way of eating. So we are going to compile a list of all the restaurants in the Chicagoland area that we've contacted, communicated with their chefs or their managers, and we know what exactly it is on their menu that we could have whole food plant-based, no oil. Dining out is a very important thing for people, socializing and such. And if they want to adopt this way of eating, but they can't go out to a restaurant, that might be a big restrictive limiting factor for them. So we don't want that to happen. There are some really great plant-based restaurants, hopefully one opening up soon in downtown Aurora, Isidore's Table, which is going to have plenty of whole food plant-based menu options on it. However, even some of the completely plant-based restaurants are completely full of oil and processed refined carbohydrates and other things that are not healthy for you. So we really want to work with all restaurants, whether plant-based restaurants or not, and make sure that we can find good whole food plant-based no oil menu options, and it's going to be listed on our website, cpbnm.org, so that people can know exactly where they can go in each different area of Chicagoland. We want to get into healthcare offices, to doctor's offices, nurse practitioner offices, chiropractor's offices, anywhere that we can go and make sure that they are educated on plant-based nutrition. And if they know about it, if they embrace it and they accept it, we're going to have a list of these physicians. Yes, there's other websites out there, plantbaseddocs.com and such. Anybody can list themselves on there. But we are going to have a specific package that we say, listen, this healthcare provider has directly communicated with us and they understand the power of plant-based nutrition. We're going to hopefully supply healthcare offices with a package that they can actually give of materials that they can give to patients and say, this is the power of plant-based nutrition. Here are your resources, and have hopefully these healthcare providers refer patients to our organization for cooking classes and for events so that we can get more referrals from them for people needing to change their diet and lifestyle around, to go to our cooking classes, see the documentaries, become a part of our organization, and hopefully really, office by office, improve the health of patients in the Chicagoland area. Why not? Go for food policy advocacy. The Chicago Food Policy Action Council is a great venue in which we can actually work with and support to help change food policy, school lunches and such in the Chicagoland area. So if we have the interest within our volunteers and the organization here that we have at the initial meeting, then we will certainly go after this. It's a great thing to try to change. But really, this organization, so many great initiatives that we want to do, and we could do more. This is just the initial ideas. Anything else that anybody else might think of, any other great ideas that we could affect change with plant-based nutrition, let's do it. But we need to raise funds. because really these things are going to cost some degree of money. Yes, we can get volunteers and we might be able to get some kitchens and such for free, but the food is going to cost some money. We really need to raise good funds so that we can have huge events and really promote this at a reduced cost or even free to many different patients looking to change over to a whole food plant-based diet. So fundraising for this 501c3 nonprofit organization, tax-deductible donations, is going to be key to the success of this organization. So we have a board of directors, myself being the chairman, Hope Turagliati, the executive director. Carol Dianca is going to be one of the directors as well. Kathy India, Craig Thiemer, and Anushri Somani. So Hope Turagliati is a very dedicated, passionate nurse who lives and breathes plant-based nutrition. She would love to work for the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement on a full-time basis. However, right now she's working as a nurse and has a family, and it's hard to do that unless we could fund a position for her. And this organization would absolutely thrive with a full-time executive director with the energy and passion like she has. So initially, she's going to act as the executive director of our organization on a volunteer basis, giving as much time as she possibly can to the organization with the hope that we will eventually be able to fund a position for her. Carol Dianca is a very dedicated culinary expert, author, and the author of foodnotmeds.com, who is very passionate about promoting plant-based nutrition. She's on north side of Chicago in the suburbs, and really has shown great interest to help support our organization, and will be one of the board members of the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. Craig Thiemer, a retired high school teacher, used to teach horticulture. He is extraordinarily knowledgeable and extraordinarily passionate, wanting to dedicate a lot of his time and resources to help push the concept of plant-based nutrition. I've known Craig for a couple years, and he's just great, and he's going to really be an asset to the board of directors. Kathy India, a nurse who is also passionate, is the soon-to-be restaurant owner of Isidore's Table in downtown Aurora, also has dedicated her time and efforts and energy to help push forward our movement. And then Anushri Somani, who has been into holistic nutrition for about 6 years and has a passion for plant-based nutrition, specializing a bit in Indian cuisine, but so much more than that. She is going to be on the board, and I really thank her for her time and efforts as well. And this is going to be a really great initial board of directors. So we don't want to stop here, though, with the board of directors. We would certainly like more. The board of members, just so you guys know, this is really what we ask of the board of directors. They need to embrace the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement's mission, policies, programs, and needs. They need to serve as active advocates and ambassadors for the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement and fully engage in identifying and securing the financial resources and partnerships that we need for the organization to advance its mission. The board members are going to leverage their connections, their networks, and their resources to develop a collective action to fully achieve the organization's mission. They all have committed to give a meaningful personal annual financial donation to the organization. They're going to prepare for, attend, and conscientiously participate in our board meetings, which are occurring monthly, and they're also going to participate fully in one or more of the committee meetings. So these are the duties of the board members. If you know anybody else, or if you personally are interested in applying to be on the board of directors of the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement, we're looking for maybe 3, 4, 5 other people who are interested. Please send your applications to me. My email address is here, stephenloam@cpbnm.org. We're really looking for people who want to passionately promote plant-based nutrition, dedicate their time, dedicate their resources, and have a good amount of connections and influence to be able to help push these types of initiatives forward. So we have a website. It's up and going already, the cpbnm.org. So here's just a brief preview of what it looks like. What we plan on doing with this website is not only allowing people to sign up for a newsletter, people who want to transition over to a plant-based diet, but also get our volunteers to come up and sign up to be a volunteer. Donations can be accepted online right now. We can already take donations from the website. And we're going to use this website to show everybody the different events that we have set up. And so hopefully we're going to have multiple events every single week. Have the date, the time, have people be able to RSVP for them all, the cooking classes and such. We'll be able to really show all the different things that we do as an organization on our website to help inspire other people. We also are going to have a resource page where people can go to and see the different books, recipes, documentaries, websites, Facebook groups, everything that they need, a good comprehensive resource list that people can go through and be successful learning about and transitioning to a plant-based diet. So the website is currently up and going. It's in a pretty basic state right now, but hopefully it'll continue to thrive and show the different pods and pod activities and have even more resources available for people in the near future. So fundraising is going to be hugely important for the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. We'll be able to obviously take monetary donations directly, or at events, cooking classes and such. People are willing to give a donation. Even if we have a free class, of course we're going to accept them. We're setting up an Amazon Smile account so that people can say their Amazon Smile charity is going to be the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement, and a small percentage of all the purchases on Amazon will go straight to our organization. A GoFundMe.com campaign is being set up. Let's see if we could all work together to share that on social media, share that with friends, push it forward, and see how much funding we can get to help support these initiatives. And then we could ask corporate sponsors. Initially, we're going to see if we could fund the organization just through philanthropy. However, a lot of times these corporate organizations can give meaningful donations, and there are just so many different corporate organizations that we could talk to and try to get donations from. Whole Foods is a place, of course, that has supported initiatives like this to a large degree. So we could go that route, and we probably will end up doing so. So I just wanted to make clear, though, there's so many people who are at the initial meeting for the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement, and lots of people watching this video, I hope, and we really appreciate it. But we really want to make sure that our organization remains very, very professional and has a good integrity. We want to be very respectful to everybody. We need to realize that the people that we're working with come from many different backgrounds and many different educational levels. It's not going to be easy for some of these people to understand, wait, why can't I eat meat, eggs, dairy, and seafood? Why can't I have processed foods in moderation? Let's be very respectful to people. Many different social factors, personal situations that people have. We are advocating a whole food, plant-based diet with no oil. However, if somebody says, listen, doctor, I need to get healthy, I need to transition off my unhealthy standard American diet, but you know what, I can't do whole food plant-based. And work with them. And just don't give resistance. Say, listen, okay, I know you say and you think in your mind you can't do whole food plant-based. Let's just work on eating more plant-based foods. Learn some of these things. And slowly they will get closer and closer and closer. And they might reach a moment where they say, yes, hey, look, I can reach 100% whole food plant-based. Just be caring with them. Be compassionate. Be understanding and respectful. And don't be negative to somebody who gives resistance and says, listen, we can't, I don't think I can do a 100% whole food plant-based diet. So always just keep that in mind, that if somebody is coming to a course or a class and is not really truly interested in getting 100%, that's okay. As long as they're eating more unprocessed plant-based foods, that's wonderful. We'd love to get as many people to 100%, but that's not going to be the reality for everybody. Let's not be judgmental. Let's be supportive of all people, no matter what situation they're in. Then also we need to think about the non-health related aspects of our food choices, the ethical aspects, the animal rights aspects, and the environmental aspects. These are very important things that I don't really think that we should ignore in the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. I think we're focusing on health, we're focusing on nutrition and treating chronic diseases, but it's all interrelated. So really, we are not going to focus on lectures on animal rights or ethics or the environmental impacts of our food choices. However, those things could be mentioned in the right setting if people are interested or inquire about it. Having said that, We don't want any of the members of our organization to come in with an agenda that, listen, I'm not really interested in the health aspects of a whole food plant-based diet. I'm only interested in the ethical aspects, and when I talk to people, that's all I want to talk to them about. That's not really appropriate. Certainly, we would love people who embrace the overall aspect of a plant-based diet from an ethical, environmental perspective to be a part of our organization. I personally am passionate about those things as well, quite a bit. But again, we want this to be about the health-related aspects, and we can discuss ethical, environmental aspects of our eating. However, that is going to be the second or the third most important thing, with the first being how nutrition affects your health. So we're going to have guidelines for members and volunteers. They're just a couple quick paragraphs just to read through and sign for people who want to participate in our cooking classes, events, and such, to say, this is our mission, you agree to our mission, and you agree to these simple rules, just so that we know that we have everybody on board with our organization to really push it forward as a professional, respectful organization. And I know everybody in this room will be fine with all of that, and people who are passionate about these plant-based diets are, for the most part, very good, caring people. And so I'm not really super concerned, but I just thought it was important for us to make sure that that is out in the open and made clear. So what can you do? What can you do for the organization? Well, here are the different volunteer roles that we have. We're going to have committees: a fundraising committee, a culinary committee for cooking classes and recipes and all these different things, the healthcare advocacy committee, so that we can put together a package for offices, healthcare offices, physicians, and get them on board and get them listed on our website as Chicagoland Plant-Based Nutrition Movement approved physicians and practitioners. The Restaurant Advocacy Committee, initially, this eventually will probably be a temporary committee, because once we get everything all on board and we get things moving and get to all the restaurants and figure all this out in the Chicagoland area, then we could probably take those committee members and move them somewhere else. But we do really need to get into every single restaurant, talk to every single chef or owner, and let them know about our mission, about whole food plant-based nutrition, free of oil, and see what we can get on their menu and list it on our website. Then we need an event committee, because there's lots of different events we can do. The screening of documentaries, a big nutrition conference we can do, potlucks, and who knows, maybe we can end up making our own whole food plant-based veggie fest. Because as you know, in this area, the Lyle Veggie Fest happens frequently every year, although it's not happening in 2018. In 2019, it's going to come on big and strong. Last year, in 2017, there was something like more than 40,000 people that showed up. However, a lot of that food was not all that healthy, meaning it was healthier than the standard American diet, no question. And the organizers did a great job, and certainly it was tasty, but there was a lot of oil, there was refined products, and a lot of sugar added to many of those things. We are advocating whole food, plant-based, no added oil. So if we could have our own little mini veggie fest with sponsors and such, that would certainly be possible. So other volunteers besides the event committee can simply say, listen, I don't necessarily want to be on a committee, but hey, when you guys have an event and if you guys need volunteers, call me up. I'll come out and I'll volunteer for the organization on the day of the event and such. Then there might be some simple administrative work that we need to do, organizing email lists and social media, a bunch of other different things. Yes, the executive director will be able to help with that, but we don't want our executive director, Hope, to be overwhelmed with smaller administrative work. So if other people want to dedicate some time to do some simple tasks, then that will be wonderful. Some other things that we need as an organization here initially is logo design. If you know somebody who designs logos or does graphics, please come on up and let us know, and we would love to work together so that you can design us a logo for our organization. Video and AV skills are much needed, because there's many different videos we can do to showcase our Whole Food Plant-Based 101 class, Whole Food Plant-Based Transition class, the different things that we do, even just a general small 2 or 3 minute video about our organization. I don't really have the skills to make a very good engaging video. If somebody else is in that area and that you know and is willing to donate their time and energy to putting that together for us, that's great. Similarly, if you know anybody in the marketing field that can help promote our organization, in any attorneys or people who are familiar with the legal process of how we can legally protect ourselves from liability. That would be great. If there's an accountant who's plant-based that wants to help with those things, and also anybody who knows anything in the insurance industry, because certainly, again, with liability, an insurance policy is needed for an organization such as this. And if you know anybody with these types of skills that is willing to help, please let us know, and we would be very grateful to any support that we can get. So let's plan some events. So having said all that, there's so many great things that we can do here with this organization. We'd like to, at this initial meeting, try to at least plan at least one date where we could all get together, have a social gathering, whole food, plant-based, no oil, get some more lectures set up, maybe similar to the event that we have quarterly at the Rush Copley. Screen a documentary. I think some people are saying Eating You Alive would be a great one to screen first. We'd love to do the Game Changers. It's not released yet. And then let's get some dates and get some people who really want to put together the first whole food plant-based one-on-one class, then transition classes here for the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. We'd like to standardize the lecture to some degree at least. And it really doesn't need to be taught by a chef. Anybody who really embraces this lifestyle can do it. And that actually would open up a huge amount. People who embrace this lifestyle and are good at cooking and enjoy it and don't mind teaching a class, step on forward. All we need to do is get you a kitchen, and then we need to get you the food that you're going to be cooking with, and get you people to show up to the class. And then other cooking classes. Let's see if we can get some of these set up. Again, doesn't need to be taught by a chef. We can do food prep, we can do Instant Pot, we can do whatever your interest is. So we really like to get some of these events planned in the short term so we can just kind of get things going. So we'll talk about that now in just a moment with the group as we have some time to mingle and to get to know each other. So that is the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. Thank you so much. As you know, I'm very passionate about this, and I hope that you guys share the same passion. And I know with all these people who are at the initial meeting for the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement that we have the energy and we have the power to really affect huge dramatic change in the Chicagoland area for the health of the people. Helping people change the plant-based diets is one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done, the most rewarding thing that I've ever done in my clinical practice. And to be able to do it more and more with the support of such amazing people here, that's just great. I couldn't ask for anything better. So thank you very much for learning more about the Chicagoland plant-based nutrition movement. Feel free to contact me anytime. Be happy to answer any questions, talk to anybody about how we can improve our organization, other initiatives you might be interested in, or if you're interested in volunteering or supporting us in any way possible, I thank you so much. Feel free to contact me anytime.